Hi, my name is Katz, or the Fairy Librarian, and welcome to a new video. Today I will be playing my TBR game for the month of April. I was really hesitating whether I was going to do it. I actually, up until yesterday, thought I wouldn't because I have already a bunch of things that I want to read in April, with Aurelium, with HRCYED, we're going to the final home stretch of that, so I'm gonna have to be a bit more strategic about the books I read and what they do or do not fit. So I had plans already, but I do like my game, and so I do want to play it. So I'm just gonna do it anyway. So I will do this portion, and then I'm gonna move to a slightly more comfortable position to film a little sit down bit with some of the other books that I won't be able to fit in the game that are also on my TBR. I know that I'm way overcommitting for this month, but we'll see what we get. But so yeah, let's start with looking over how I did in March. So my March TBR had 6 books. One of them I don't have physically. I had When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill for a book with alliteration in the title. I wasn't able to get that in time from the library to read in March. It's the 27th as of filming this, and it's still not available. So what I allow myself to do then, because it's outside of my control, I just pick a different book that also fits a prompt and read that. And I'm currently reading Dragons in Dating by Christy Boyce. I'm about 50% in, but as I said, I have 5 days left of the month, so I do think I'll be able to finish that book. So then that prompt will be completed. I had a 1984 for a friend pick with a number in the title, which I wasn't able to get to. I knew that if there was one book on this TBR that I wouldn't read, that it would probably be that one. I had Cleopatra by Natasha Solomons for a HRCYED TBR book, which I DNF'd. I had Der Magische Pakt by Tanja Vossen for a rollover from February, which I also DNF'd. I had The School for Good and Evil by Saman Chanani for a middle grade with people on the cover. I'm currently reading this. I'm halfway through. You can kind of see my bookmark here. So I will also definitely finish that. And then I have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker for a romantasy, which I did not get to. So I have 2 books, 1984 and When the Moon Hatched, that I did not read. What I do in my TBR game for every book that I have not read is I pick a prompt from the goose jar, and then I get to choose whether I do the prompt or just roll over the book to the next month. So let's pick some prompts. So first prompt for 1984. Let's go with this one. And the rule is next roll backwards, so I just move back. That's actually kind of fun. I'm gonna just keep this. Also because I just have so many plans already that 1984 is not one of that. If I don't have to add an extra book, I'm gonna take that opportunity. So I'll roll the first roll in the opposite direction. That's fine. Second prompt for When the Moon Hatched. Let's take this one. Oh. Let's reroll that. So I'm just gonna pick a different prompt because that's kind of what it is. Or do I just roll it over? You know what? I'll just pick a different prompt let's repick that then, and then I can decide based on that. I never really know what to do with cases like this because, you get what I mean. That is move one space forward, but if I look at the board where I am right now, I'm not. Or well, maybe, am I? No, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to opt for chaos, and I'm just going to do it, actually. So I'm not going to roll over any of the 2 books. They might end up on the TBR anyway. But for now, we'll just start with our rolls and looking at the board. So last time we left off here, so I'm going to start there. And if we move one space forward, we land on the prison, which, if you know the game of the goose, means that you have to like skip a turn usually. So how I made it in my TBR game is that I have to pick, you know, do as if it's twice. So I have to pick 2 prompts and then pick 1 book per prompt. So I'm gonna do that. That's 1. And that's 2. No, that is 2. Okay, first prompt. Same genre as the last book. So that is the last book that I picked. So that is the same genre as 1984, because that was the last book from the previous video. Okay. And then we have a book in English. That is very doable. So as you can see, we did end up with 2 books being added, like roll 0 after all. I picked the books for the prompts, so I had the same genre as the last book, since it's the first book that I pick for today. That means like the last book in the previous game, and the last book for that was in 1984. So I need another dystopian, and for that I'm going to pick Raven 3 by Miriam Borgelmans, which is the 5th book in the Slaves series, which is a YA dystopian series, Belgian series. As far as I know, there's no English translation out, but I do really like it. I am really invested. I also read them very quickly, so like I really fly through them. So I'm really excited to continue, and this one will also help me finish off a HRCYED prompt, because this is my 4+ book series for HRCYED, and I only need 1 more book to complete that prompt, and then I'll have complete the series staircase. So yay for finishing stuff. And then I had a book I need to read in English, which is very easy because I don't read everything in English. I read like about 50-50, I think, English and Dutch. But so like not hard for me at all. I decided to go for A Taste of Gold and Iron by Alexandra Rowland. This is a queer romantasy between like a bodyguard and a prince, like a male-male romance. And I am buddy reading this with Kirsten from the channel Reading Nymph. So I'm very happy that I was able to get this book on here this early. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that it's like inspired by the Ottoman Empire, like the world, which does sound very interesting. So yeah, I am very excited. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, but like it's one of those books that I am very interested in, but I keep forgetting that it exists. And so I'm really excited to finally be getting to it now. So yeah, and those are the first 2 books on the TBR. Let's now see how many actual rolls I need to do and get into like the actual gameplay. Let's see how many rolls I need to do. I'm kind of hoping for not too big of a number. A 4. Okay, that is a very medium number for a 6-sided thing. Okay, 4 rolls, but the first one needs to go backwards. So roll number 1, 8 and doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Normal prompt because it's not a goose, but doubles, which means that I need to pick 2 prompts, and then if I can fulfill both of them with 1 book, I can do that. If not, I just pick 2 books. So let's see. I have 2. So the first one, finish a series. Okay. Second one, BIPOC, that is author and or main character. I can do that. Okay, so the first roll gave me doubles, so that means 2 prompts, and I decided to fulfill them with 2 separate books. So the first one that I got was Finish a Series, and for that I will be reading Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake, which is the 3rd and final book in the Bright Falls trilogy, which is a trilogy of sapphic contemporary romances that I've been really enjoying. Both Lila Green Doesn't Hear and Ashley Parker Doesn't Fail ended up in my top 10 reads of the year that I read it in. So I have really high hopes for this one. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And then the second prompt that we had was BIPOC, which works really well because for a book club I'm part of, like an IRL book club hosted by my university, we are reading Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo, because the author is coming to our university city later this year, so like we thought it'd be fitting to read a book by her, sort of in preparation for that. So I don't know a ton about this. I know it was very popular and like I believe it won some awards, or at least an award. It's like a vignette style, I think, following like a bunch of different Black women from different ages and in different times. And I don't really know like what the plot of it is, but I'm willing to go in blind. I've been meaning to read this for a very, very long time, so I'm glad that I finally have like a little push to do so. So that was roll 1. Let's go on to roll 2. Roll number 2 in the normal direction this time. An 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay then, I had a lot of plans and so far I've decently managed to put in books that I already wanted to read, so fingers crossed that it'll keep happening. That is a goose print that ended up in here. That was me too. Okay. The first one is set in Europe or a European-inspired world. Very doable. The second one is a horror. Okay. Roll 2 landed us on the prison again. So, again, 2 books. The first one needed to be set in Europe or a European-inspired world. For that, I decided to go with a nonfiction, and I went with Hymn to Life by Gisèle Pellicot. This is a memoir from Gisèle Pellicot, who, I don't know like how many media coverage this got in different countries, but she is a woman in France who for years and years and years her husband had been drugging her and inviting a bunch of men to their house to rape her while she was in this drugged state. And so she found out, sued her husband, and it became a really big case. So again, I don't really know like how much coverage it got in different countries, but it was a pretty big thing. And so now she is writing a memoir. She's a bit of a feminist icon, like Sikama became it. She's like, I don't need to be ashamed of this. Like, these men need to be ashamed of it, of themselves. So, like, I do really would like to read this. And then for a horror book, I decided to go with The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas, which I don't know a ton about it. I know it is set in like the late 18th century, if I'm not mistaken, in Mexico, presumably. At least I assume so, because like her other books have been set in Mexico. I've tried reading The Hacienda by this author, but I didn't have to because I was really bored. But I really want to give her another try. I've been sort of eyeing this, so I'm just going to put it on here and see how well this goes. So those was another roll with 2 books. Let's see if roll 3 is more lucky. Roll number 3. 12 and doubles. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're at a normal spot, but doubles again. Okay. Prompt number 1 is a thriller. Prompt number 2 is a paperback. And we had doubles yet again. So I have 2 books again because I had 2 things that I already wanted to read that like worked for one of these, but I didn't have anything that worked for both. So I have 2 books again. First, I have a thriller. For that, I picked Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is a sort of literary thriller, I would say, about our main character's friend, Monday, who went missing. Except Monday is a Black girl, and so the police gives exactly 0 craps about her disappearance, and we're just following that. I've been wanting to try something by Tiffany D. Jackson for a very, very long time, so I'm very glad that I finally get to do it. And I'll be listening to the audiobook of this. I already have it checked out from the library. I'm really excited. So that is my thriller option. And then for a paperback, I don't know yet that this will be a paperback because I will get it from the library and I don't have it as of right now. But I'm fairly positive that it will be a paperback. If not, I'll just replace it with something else. But I do think it will be. And that is a midnight pastry shop called Huawodong. Hi, this is Editing Me coming at you from the future to tell you that the midnight pastry shop was in fact a hardcover, not a paperback. So I ended up replacing it with Princess of Souls by Alexander Christo, which is a YA fantasy that has been on my TBR for a very long time. And so, yeah, I'm glad to finally get to it. I'm going in pretty blind. I don't necessarily think this is going to be like a 5-star, but I think it's going to be fun, and that is all I want from it. So, back to Past Me. Really excited about those 2. Those 2 also work for Magical Readathon, so that's nice, but I'll get into that later. So yeah, let's get into the 4th and final roll. And now I kind of want that to be doubles too, because if not, that's going to be a little bit unsatisfying, because like so far I always had like 2 books per roll. So now I want the pattern to continue, but we'll see. Roll number 4. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 5 is square 6, I mean, is the bridge. And if the bridge in the game, you get to move to space 12. Usually what I do is I just don't pick a book because like you get to move forward within your same turn. So that's, similar to like the prison, like you have to skip a turn, so I have to take your books. Now don't take away. I hope that makes sense. So like it kind of worked out because we either got 2 or nothing, which I feel is better than like 2 or 1. So end of game. Let's sit down and chat a little more. Okay, I decided to sit down for the recap because it's a little more comfortable and we have some ground to cover. But first, let's go over the game. I just went to the library to get like the books that I don't have physically. So what I don't have physically, because I'm not going to read it physically, is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson for a thriller. The Possession of Albadias by Isabel Cañas for a horror. Then I placed holds on Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo for a BIPOC author. And on Hymn to Life by Giselle Pellico for a book set in Europe. I have Iris Kelly Doesn't Date for Finish a Series. A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland for a book I'm going to be reading in English. Prince of Souls by Alexandra Grostrow, just to make sure that I had a paperback in case when I do get the Midnight pastry shop thing, that in case it isn't in the paperback, I have something else to replace with. And then I have Raven 3 by Miriam Borgemans for a dystopian book. Now let's talk about Magical Readathon because that is happening in April. So my character is starting her second year in Lexomancy. So I need to take 5 classes. First, I need conjuration, and for that I needed to do like a social media scroll until I came across a book that I wanted to read, and for that I did pick the Midnight Pastry Shop called Howaldang, because it was the first one that I came across on Discord, that I was like, yes, I want to read that. As I already said, it's a Korean healing fiction type book. I hadn't really heard of it until then, but I am excited for it. Then for spells and incantations, I need a book that is on a bestseller list. I had 2 options for this. I had Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett, which is on the Amazon Cozy Fantasy bestseller list. But my other option was Hymn to Life by Giselle Pellico, which was on the nonfiction bestseller for Bol, which is like sort of the same concept as Amazon, but it's only in Belgium and the Netherlands. So those 2 could both work, and both of those were released in February, and I still need my February release for HRCYED, so I'm gonna hope that one of the 2 becomes available at the beginning of the month so that I can read it for that prompt. And then because Agnes Aubert is also the book club pick for Kirsten from Channel Rain of her Discord book club. So I do hope to read both of them this month, but we'll see what happens. Then I have Inscription, and for that I need a book with a day of the week in the title, and for that I will be reading Monday's Not Coming. Yes, technically the Monday that is referred to in the title is the name of a character and not necessarily the day of the week, but Monday is also a day of the week, so I'm just gonna count it because I've been wanting to read it for a long time and I've just been putting it off. So I finally want to read it now. Then for lore, I needed a dystopian book, and for that, I'll be reading Raven 3. It's really funny that like the same prompt came up both in a Magical Readathon and a TBR game. So that works out great. And finally, I have a restoration for which I needed to ask for five-star reads from someone and then pick one that I'm going to read. I have 2 of them that sound interesting and I can get from the library. So I'll just pick one of those 2. My main option, like plan A, is Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli, which is the first book in a YA romantasy duology about a witch and a witch hunter, and I've heard nothing but great things about it, so I really want to give it a try. If I can't get this book, then I will read Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Is that the one? Which is about a woman who is depressed, I think. Might also be neurodivergent. I don't know much more than that. It was a pretty big book quite a while ago. And I was interested in it, but I just never read it. And so maybe I could read it now. So that is the Magical Readathon TBR. In terms of book clubs, I already mentioned Agnes Aubert. For my university book club, we will be reading Girl, Woman, Other, as I also already mentioned, so got that covered too. And then for the Evil Minds Research Group, which is a book club focused on reading mysteries, we're reading Feet of Claim. I was too fast, or my brain was too fast rather, which is part of the Discworld series, part of the City Watch series, but the person who nominated it said that this is like actually a solvable mystery within Discworld. I was going in publication order for these, so it's a little like, oh, now I have to break up publication order, but it's fine. Like, you can't read them out of order. It's just me being particular about things. But so yeah, I'll definitely be reading this, and I'm quite excited. I finished Weird Sisters the other day, so I'm a bit of a Discworld high, so really excited for this. Then for my HRCYED reading vlog for the month, every month I try to do a vlog where I read the new release from the previous month. I hopefully try to read The Secret Prompt. If there is any Heritage Month happening in that month, I read those, and I try to also finish off a square. So the new release, I already read my March release because I had an arc for one. So that one's already covered, but as I said, I still need my February release, so I will be reading either Hymn to Life or Agnes Aubert in that vlog. Then for Heritage Month, it is Arab Heritage Month, and for that I'll be reading Arabian Nights and Days by Naguib Mahfouz, who is a Egyptian author, and he wrote a retelling of 1001 Nights. So I'm really excited to give this a try. This will also double up for the translation square, because it is originally written in Arabic, but I might actually swap this out from the translation at some point. Like, I'll put it there for now, but in the future I might swap it out because I don't like to use sort of the same thing about a book twice. So like, I'm using the fact that they're Arab, like Egyptian, already in the Heritage Month prompt. So like, it kind of feels like a cop-out to use the fact that it was originally written in Arabic, which is kind of, it's not exactly the same thing, but like, you know, it's, you know, So I'm like, it kind of feels like a cop-out, so I will probably swap that out at some point for something else, but for now I'll put it there. And in case I don't have anything else in time for the end of HRCYED, then I'll use this there. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting to try this author for a little while, so I'm going to do this. And then for the finish a prompt thing, I can use Raven 3 because, as I already mentioned earlier, this is the only book left that I need in the series Staircase Square. So I got that covered. So that was everything that I needed to cover. It was quite a lot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought of it. And let me know what you're excited to read in the month of April. And I will talk to you in another video soon. Bye!